Prior to yesterday's meeting, there had been several engagements between URA, traders, even the PSST. Just like you've rightly stated, so when traders met with the president at State House, he proposed 2 meetings. The first meeting was to meet his technical team. The second meeting was the yesterday's meeting. And I think the outcomes of the yesterday's meeting are a culmination of the outcomes of the meeting with the technical teams. And I think that speaks for itself in many ways than one. So, to me, at the end of the day, if we have institutions in this country, my personal view is that those institutions should work, should be given the liberty to work, and should work in a manner that supports the private sector, but also we shouldn't look at each other as an enforcer and a taxpayer or somebody evading tax. The actual way, the most appropriate way of policy making should be bottom up. Once you do policies top down, yes, they tend to cause chaos. And the reason is simple. Yes. You don't understand, appreciate, and consider the modus operandi of the people who are going to be impacted by a policy. Exactly. So at the end of the day, once the policy is thrown at them,
they will resist.
There will be a lot of resistance, because it will be like order. We are open to working closely with URA and other agencies, including Ministry of Finance, to iron out some of these bottlenecks, because at the end of the day, we need our private sector to grow and create jobs.
Thank you.
Out of about 14.8 million Ugandans in formal employment, 13.5 million are in private sector. So you cannot create jobs if you don't have the private sector. Neither can the private sector create jobs if they are not growing. Yes.
Moving on from that, the Prime Minister Robinah Nabbanja has directed the Secretariat of Sustainable Development Goals under the Office of the Prime Minister to recognize women leaders who mentored her into leadership and other women leaders in the country. Nabbanja says that if it wasn't for those women leaders, perhaps she would not be the first female Prime Minister of Uganda. She was this morning officiating a dialogue on gender equality under the theme Countering Accelerating Gender Equality Through Women Economic Empowerment and Financing for Sustainable Development Goals. Take a look.
Wednesday morning, women leaders gathered in Kampala to deliberate on the journey women in Uganda have gone through to attain emancipation and economic empowerment. Prime Minister Robinah Nabbanja was chief guest at the dialogue organized by the Secretariat of Sustainable Development Goals (SDGs) under the Office of the Prime Minister and the Forum for Women in Democracy, a women's civil society organization. The Prime Minister cited women leaders who she says were her role models from a district councillor into national politics. Nabbanja directed the Secretariat of Sustainable Development Goals (SDGs) under the Office of the Prime Minister to recognize the women leaders who mentored her into leadership.
You have talked about Matembe. I remember there used to be a lady called Tezira Jamwa. That woman used to really be in these things too much. Solomon Mukisa. Do you remember that Mukibi? At one time, she's my mentor, but at one time we have a number of ministers in the cabinet. We are almost making 50-50. That is not a linear achievement. The permanent secretaries, these are big decision makers. Are you aware we have 52% of permanent secretaries? Are you aware? You need to count these women. They are more than men. So we are...
However, she expressed concerns that fellow women are instead fighting to bring her down.
Because we have enough space, isn't it, where we can play our roles. Yes, there are women who have not done as expected, but those are the target. We must help them to do better instead of pulling them down. Help them to do better. Help us to do better. If you find that number now, because how sure are you that if I leave this position, it will be you? How sure are you? We can easily lose it.
Sarah Opendi is the chairperson of the Uganda Women Parliamentary Association. Opendi wants Uganda to increase the threshold of women's participation at all levels of leadership from 1/3 to 50%, since women are the majority in Uganda.
All that we are requesting for Right Honourable Prime Minister, as our Prime Minister, is to ensure that Uganda as a country moves away from the 1/3 to gender parity. If Rwanda can do it, my humble appeal is that the women who get to these offices use these offices well. When women are named in corruption scandals, it's a complete shame.
Saying that the numbers matter, and with affirmative action and the many women that have come into the space, these numbers do matter, and seeing women in these positions is very important because you are role models for the many young girls out there.
Equitable participation of women in all areas of society, and we campaign for women to have equal access to resources, from financial, labor and natural resources to immaterial resources like education and networks.
The outcome of the dialogue will form part of Uganda's voluntary National Review Report to be presented in New York, USA in July this year.
In more news, the Minister of Youth and Children Affairs, Dr. Balam Barugahare, has visited the machete victims from the 29th of April 2024 who are still nursing wounds at Mulago National Referral Hospital in Kampala. Balam and the family have hailed Mulago Hospital for the treatment offered to the victims, mainly children, as all of them are greatly improving.
On 29th April 2024, this family from Windeje, a suburb of Kampala, was attacked by an assailant who nearly ended the lives of 4 children. The family has since then been receiving treatment from Mulago National Referral Hospital in Kampala.
This guy is mad. These nice children, this one. How are you feeling? And this one, they cut your hand. And here. Sorry. So they cut 3 kids. And here. Oh, sorry.
This one was the most cut they cut until the skull.
Why do you cut such a girl? So what's her name? Get him 7.
With all the victims recovering, the State Minister in charge of Youth and Children Affairs, Dr. Balam Barugahare, has visited them to stand in solidarity.
Just check on the children. We shall keep checking. These are assets of the nation.
Thank you so much.
As the Ministry of Children and Youth Affairs, we feel sorry. But justice prevailed. The thug was eliminated. Hope other thugs can learn from that you can't escape thuggery and the madness. This is madness of highest order. We pray for you.
On behalf of government, Minister Balam, in support of PLU, members led by Henry Vasaliza, extended some financial support to the family.
It's a gift from contribution from Patriotic League members. Men have contributed, but I will keep checking on you. I need to come and check on her trial when she goes to school. Yeah.
When we heard about this very unfortunate incident, as patriotic members, we had to mobilize ourselves and make sure that we come and visit. It is very unfortunate this is happening in this era. We condemn it in the strongest terms, and we shall continue to pray for you and the kids, and we wish you the best and a quick recovery.
The family members are appreciative to the management of Mulago Hospital for the care and treatment. Robert Onyango, UBC News.
President Yoweri Museveni has met and held discussions with a renowned human capital development expert, Professor Vincent Chinedu, who called on him at State House in Entebbe. President Museveni and Professor Chinedu discussed a wide range of projects as well as potential investment opportunities in the country, mostly the youth skilling program on agriculture based on the 1 and 4 acre models. Professor Chinedu revealed that the youth training program will first focus on those from the eastern region before enrolling to the rest of the country. The proposed entrepreneurship program will be in collaboration with Busitema University Arapai campus and later on local governments and other universities. The Minister for Science, Technology and Innovation, Dr. Monica Msenero, said that she was very optimistic that the program would activate productivity acceleration, which will put science into use by taking the youth from normal agriculture into value addition. National Union of Disabled Persons of Uganda have called upon all families with any member with special needs to adhere to the census exercise by providing necessary and required information. In partnership with the East Africa Center for Disability Law and Policy, called upon community leaders of persons with disability to mobilize persons with disabilities to be counted.
Many people think that when we are talking about people with disability, we are talking about a minority, a very insignificant number of people.
Friday, 10th May 2024, Uganda Bureau of Statistics will officially start the population census exercise across the country. The exercise in Uganda is carried out after every 10 years.
When this information is collected by UBOS, it helps the government plan for its citizens.
Through the exercise, government intends to know the population distribution by region, the age brackets, the needs, among others, for purposes of planning. To support the exercise, the National Union of Disabled Persons of Uganda have called upon all families with special needs members to present them for the census exercise.
Now, if you are advocating for dress responsibilities and you don't have the numbers, are you advocating for space or what? These numbers must come out so that they help government to plan for us better.
The parents, caregivers and guardians of the persons living with disabilities have been told to desist from hiding these persons from the exercise, but instead provide correct and required information about them.
When they are saying 10% of PDM should go to persons with disabilities, then they should know the magnitude of the problem. It also helps us as organizations of persons with disabilities to do our advocacy better when we have figures that have been collected and are justifiable.
NUDIPU has further called upon leaders of persons with disability at the national level, district and parish levels to help mobilize all persons with disabilities to freely participate in the exercise.
So that persons with disabilities, wherever they are, especially in the countryside, receive information about this census and come out to be counted.
The National Population and Housing Census exercise was last conducted 10 years ago in 2014. A report which indicated that persons living with disability formed 12.4% of the total population. The figure is anticipated to increase due to the increasing causes of disability, not limited to accidents. Susan Naong and Stephen Kayumba reporting for UBC TV.
Busia Chief Magistrate Thomas Okoth has flagged off the National Population and Housing Census 2024 at Busia Senior Secondary School in Busia Municipality, Busia District. Enumerators and supervisors took an oath to keep people's information a secret.
The start of the census exercise has been flagged off in Busia District by the Chief Magistrate ahead of the census night, which is set to happen Thursday night. The Chief Magistrate appreciated the management and staff of UBOS for the excellent work they have done in ensuring that census activities are always successful in Uganda. He called on members of the community to cooperate with enumerators in answering the questions posed to them because their responses will help the government properly plan for them.
what people should expect is a questionnaire that is easily understandable, that is not complicated, through which they can be able to get the required information. But also on the other hand, we call upon people to be at their homes so that they can be able to give the required information. And to
The Chief Magistrate also stated that all supervisors and enumerators are to take an oath of office and specifically an oath of secrecy.
The purpose of the oath is to ensure that as the supervisors, the enumerators, the IT officer, and the district supervisor undertake this exercise, the information is only provided to the person who is supposed to get the same, and not to any other.
Enumerators and supervisors for Masafu sub-county while in the field at Buhatuba village, Buhatuba parish said that the exercise will run smoothly since the required gadgets are available.
Went to the field to meet our clients, and on reaching there, everything was good. Our tablets were functional, and we thank UBOS for everything that they have done for us. We promise to do everything for the betterment of our country. To give us the information, I went to the household and I interacted freely with the owner of the household. She was able to give me the actual information we needed from them.
Into the field, but there was one challenge I faced. There's language barrier. Some people are not Samian, so another thing was the place was too remote that sometimes the network was on and off.
The census night, scheduled for Thursday, May 9th, 2024, will use digital technology to collect, process and disseminate census results. The digital census will enable the Uganda Bureau of Statistics UBOS to produce accurate and timely demographic, social and economic statistics. According to UBOS, the country's current population is estimated at 45.5 million with a growth rate of 30.4%.
Still about the census exercise, this is set to kick-start on the 10th of May 2024, which happens to be this Friday, and government has marked it a public holiday. Now, our reporter Philip Agutakota with the Executive Director, Uganda National Bureau of Statistics, Dr. Chris Mukiza, to thoroughly throw more light on the common questions about the census.
Thank you, viewers. Census is on beginning on 10th of May, which is on Friday, with the census night of 9th May. Thursday night is the census night. And this night will be the reference on which all questions relating to a household or a respondent will refer. So we are going to take a snapshot picture of who and what will be in Uganda on the night of Thursday.
And what if a child is born at that night?
A child born before Thursday will not be counted. Thursday night. And strictly speaking, a child born before midnight is supposed not to be counted because our cutting point is midnight. But because we know our people, that they cannot record, they cannot remember, there will be an excitement. So any child born at night will be captured. Night of Thursday, the reference night. But a child born in the morning, during daytime on Friday, that child will not be counted because the picture did not find that child when it was being taken. Similarly, a person who will be living and passes away after midnight and passes away before midnight on Thursday, that person will be counted for having been alive. But the person who will die before Thursday night will not be counted.
How are you going to capture the information of those who are mentally ill on the streets and the street children themselves?
We have a specific questionnaire that is going to capture those respondents. The floating population questionnaire, we shall try as much as possible to get them on census night. On the citizenship, this census is the total count of the people who will be in Uganda at census night, regardless of their nationality. We are going to count foreigners who will be in Uganda at the census night, on the Thursday night. We are going to count Ugandans who will be in Uganda during census night. So later we shall publish data on the nationality, Ugandan, non-Ugandan.
There are places which are restricted, like the barracks. Do you have a special way of counting the security officers?
Yes, we are going to count everybody in Uganda who stayed in Uganda on the census night. I repeat census night many times because that is the most important day. Even if I come to interview you on 19th, because we are going to take 10 days, I will be interested in knowing what happened on census night. Barracks are also, if there are barracks in Uganda, we shall count them. If you fall sick and you are admitted on census night, we shall count you from there. We have a special questionnaire called institution questionnaire, the same as those who will be in hostels, university halls, and other tertiary institution hostels. We shall count them from where they stayed.
In more stories, the Public Accounts Committee Central has grilled the Makerere University accounting officials over fabrication of figures allocated in the trial balance submitted in the Auditor General's report. The committee observed a payment of over 127 million Ugandan shillings to abscond staff from the College of Computing and Information Science. PAC Central is chaired by Butambala County Member of Parliament Mwanga Chifombi.
The Parliamentary Public Accounts Committee, Central, has engaged with officials from the Makerere University Accounting Office to discuss the recent auditing reports submitted to Parliament.
And I must also declare that there is a lot of conflict of interest.
The committee, chaired by Mwanga Chifombi, noted through the Auditor's General Report that the university was allocated a total of 368 billion shillings with a 96.1% financial performance. However, the accounting officials failed to come to terms with the figures.
It's not correct, Mr. Chairman.
101 plus 1 is 102.
Yes.
Yes.
Yet what should be recognized should be 103. Because that's what was billed for the financial year.
The question of the disparities in the figures continued to haunt as the MPs were ached by the gap between the trial balance and the presentation of the accounting officer.
Now, unlike what would be done under the single column trial balance, they also observed the negatives in the single column trial balance and put for assets, or what we would call the non-current assets, created them.
In the year 2022-2023, the university collected a total of 106.2 billion shillings non-tax revenue. Despite the committee recognizing this amount, the doubt remained unaddressed.
Now, to me, if you don't find this figure here, it disqualifies that the financial statement of financial performance is inaccurate.
The university accounting officials interested the committee on the process of revenue collection in regards to the coordination between the URA and Makerere University.
Actual revenue of URA does not exactly tally with our earned revenue in a particular year.
The university was also tasked to explain how one absent staff from the College of Computing and Information Science was paid a total of 127 million for a period of 19 months.
You cannot claim that the person has run away for 2 years. Chair, the agreement, our legal counsel can get interested in this agreement.
That's long time enough for somebody to have followed up. And knowing you are paying a wrong person, I want to know the paymaster here.
The committee requested the university officials to specify the documents of the number of students and categories of fees structures to be able to make informed decisions. Lydia Chomkama and Dan Lugemwa, UBC News.
Director NRM Mobilization, Rosemary Seninde, has urged leaders in Butambala to focus on bringing back more defectors to the party for their economic transformation. Rosemary Seninde, while speaking to the people of Butambala, she warned them on infighting, but rather celebrate the achievements of the NRM party.
Adding a break to the development of NRM. As the national mobilizer of NRM, I encourage these people and I want to assure the people of Butambala that once we stop this business of infighting, as a team, we are going to be winners. 2026 must be a year of NRM's win. Right from the president to the MPs up to the lowest level. Because our people have now noticed the mistake that was made. We must not go back to that. And it is because we always fight ourselves. But if we stop that, then we shall benefit. I call upon the NRM people to appreciate His Excellency the President. The people of Uganda have summarized the President's achievements into the top 10. And we must make sure that we keep reminding the people of Uganda, particularly the young people, who forget or who don't want to appreciate where Uganda has come from, where we are today, and where we want to go tomorrow. So I want to call upon everybody, particularly the NRM mobilizers, not to only mobilize the NRM supporters, because we shall not be doing work then. We should also mobilize the opposition to join NRM. So I call upon everyone, we are going to make sure that we don't only sing NRM Oye or His Excellency Oye, we must make sure we identify the challenges of the people, which we find out the challenging issues in all our communities, and we find solutions to mitigate those challenges. I also want to call upon the people to ensure that we bring the young people on board, because they are the rulers, they are the future leaders, and they are the people who have the biggest number that is going to vote 2026. So I wish everybody success in the next elections. May we vote NRM. May we vote the NRM leaders. But we must not fight in the primaries. May God bless you. Assalamu alaikum.
Amen.
UBC News Tonight will take a short commercial break and we'll be back with more stories.
The Uganda National Oil Company UNOC is wholly owned by the government of Uganda and was established to safeguard and promote Uganda's commercial interests in the petroleum sector. UNOC has two subsidiaries, the Uganda Refinery Holding Company URHC, which will hold a 40% stake in the 60,000 barrel per day refinery and manage the development of Kabalega Industrial Park, and the National Pipeline Company Limited NPC, in charge of pipelines, storage, and downstream business ventures. This subsidiary holds 15% interest in the East African Crude Oil Pipeline, EACOP. EACOP is a 1,445-kilometer long pipeline that will transport crude oil through 10 districts in Uganda to the port of Tanga in Tanzania. UNOC is also actively engaged in crude oil exploration, development, and production activities, and its participation role includes a 15% stake in the Tilenga, Nwoya, and Bulisa, and Kingfisher development projects, Chikure. UNOC also holds the exploration license for Kasuruban Block in Hoima, Bulisa, and Masindi. UNOC currently owns and manages the Ginger Storage Terminal and will build a 320 million litre capacity terminal in MPG called the Kampala Storage Terminal. At UNOC, we're harnessing the potential of Uganda's petroleum resources, forging a sustainable future and preserving the natural beauty of Uganda. UNOC, your partner in Uganda's oil and gas industry.
MTN Moment
Tusako Pepe Pussy live in concert Kujahazi PM Nyonyo Mo hip hop kuna rubale Wakanga 18 Mei 2024 Ena Fefe Pussy weekend Kama goma rapo na nyini freestyle Jagora mwana wakulu kutemi Mungaliga sasa liva muchamba Misala na chinonga tuli marapu melele Pokinge mtuale bidi Vyebi mtuale tano Emeza kakande Emeza vya milioni satu Downloading MTN Momo apa Osaliwe kebijula tano kubulichi 10 kutiketi Woguli kwa MTN Momo Tiketi ya gula mtuale gumo Ade VIP Ebidi chitundu Tunina debote cruise See you looking beauty Mitedwa musente MC MTN Momo Givo establishment the angry management.
Once upon a time, there lived identical twins who gave birth to beautiful princes and princesses.
Their mothers gave their babies' bodies a lot of care by applying on their skin with baby Junior jelly.
So dried their targets and everyone would admire their glowing skin. Fun fact, baby Junior prevents diaper rash, dry and sensitive skin.
Moms all over Africa like baby Junior jelly. Baby Junior's the skin. No more worries anymore. Baby Junior. Baby Junior.
Cheers to something refreshingly different. Putting the brakes on a fast-paced world. Slowing down. Just enough to stand out. Cheers to the beer that does it differently. Brewed longer for extra refreshment. Refreshingly Club. Alcohol is not for sale to persons under 18. Please drink responsibly.
Welcome back from that short commercial break. We still continue with UBC News tonight. And of course, preparations have kicked off at Namgongo Anglican Martyrs site as the country awaits to commemorate Martyrs Day scheduled for every 3rd June this year. The Midwestern cluster, which led to the preparations and the D-Day service at Namgongo Anglican Martyrs site, according to the chairperson organizing, Right Reverend Ruben Chisembo, requires over 2.17 billion, including the money for roofing the amphitheater to have a successful D-Day.
Every 3rd June every year, Uganda commemorates Martyrs Day, where the country is joined by the rest of the world to hold that day at Anglican, Catholic and Muslim martyrs sites in Namugongo. As we wait to commemorate that day, preparations at the site are in high gear, with the aim to have a colorful day. At Namugongo Anglican Martyrs site, the preparations led by the Midwest Diocese, the organizing committee has stood officially launched the preparations. As the chairperson organizing committee highlights,
we appreciate the president who gave us a pledge of 1.5 billion shillings that the money hasn't been deposited in our account yet, but we appreciate him for that support. And we pray and request him to deliver the money so that it helps us do some of the works of booking goods and services.
By the time we reached at the site, preparations were taking place, including renovation of the site.
We have been able to raise the support columns from down, and even these columns that are supporting this roof to give an extra support of the weight added on. And as you can see, the lighting is already into place. We are done with the fittings, we are done with the paintings, and even the fitting of the seats. Now this is a 1,000-seater capacity.
As part of the preparations for the D-Day, the Midwest Diocese is carrying out a project of roofing the Anglican Martyrs Amphitheater that will cost over 400 million.
Will cost 450 million. I think that's one of the major expenses. But the air ticket for the guest preacher, travels, accommodation, publicity, mobilization, equipment, public address system.
According to the organizing committee, the church needs over 2.17 billion to have a successful day.
I want to appeal to the general public that we still have a deficit about maybe 600 million shillings for them to donate generously. We are preparing a dinner here in Kampala and those in our respective places. Please give us some support to have an account, to have a Momo number that we can share on WhatsApp, so that people can support this function. And I appreciate those so far who have given us some money that have been deposited on some services.
The organizing committee also highlighted the MID program that will start on 23rd May 2024 ahead of Matters Day at Namgongo Anglican Matters site.
On 23rd of May here at Namgongo, all children from this country are invited to come and participate here. They have their talks and play and the topics that will be shared. 23rd May, and the children who have not gone back to school, they are still at home. So 23rd June, another 23rd May, that's a Children's Day here at Namgongo Anglican site. Then 24th May will be a day for all the youth in this country. We're calling upon them to come here at Namgongo Anglican site and have their day conferences and talks and play and whatever fun on that day, 24th, for the young people in this country. Then all the men.
Over 1 million pilgrims are expected at Namgongo Anglican site on 3rd June, and the chief preacher of that day will be the Archbishop of Nigeria, the Most Reverend Henry Ndukuba, and President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni will be the chief guest. Deborah Namamonde, UBC News.
The Atomic Energy Council's management and staff have conducted a visit to the ongoing operations at the Kingfisher oil fields with the primary aim of assessing and monitoring the peaceful application of nuclear energy technology. In addition to this, the council sought to establish radiation safety measures, particularly focusing on areas where radioactive sources are utilized in the oil extraction process. Now, during the assessment, the team noted that the presence of radiation safety officers and the existence of secure storage facilities for radioactive materials at the drilling site.
Well logging are strong sources. Many of them actually can be quite harmful to staff and other people where it is stored. So I don't know whether you have precautions or where you keep them safe.
With the LWD tools, we always do from the second section up to the total depths, TD. Yeah. So when we come back, we shall still do the same operation we have done for all these wells. Yeah.
So does it mean that you still have the sources?
Yes, we still have the sources, and at the buffer they are well kept up.
We will come here as a council and its committees on technical aspects to establish the radiation safety measures being practiced at Kingfisher, as well as the nuclear security aspects that are involved. Now, we've realized that they are using radioactive sources in the drilling processes, and they have a radiation safety officer. They have good storage facilities for these radioactive materials, but there's a need to sensitize other users of these materials during the whole process, so that people, the workers, are protected, and they have promised to focus more on the aspect of radiation safety than it has been the case, because they are still doing the drilling where they will be using these sources.
Mitigation projects,
The Assistant Commissioner Clinical Services at the Ministry of Health, Dr. Ronnie Bahatunjire, has revealed that the country is in the deficit of specialized fistula surgeons in the country. Dr. Bahatunjire revealed this during a media briefing in preparations to commemorate the International Day to Eliminate Obstetric Fistula, to be held on the 29th of May 2024. Now, the day highlights the aims at raising awareness about causes, treatments and preventions of obstetric fistula, and also strengthens all the levels of health service delivery on maternal and newborn health.
As the country is preparing to commemorate the International Day to Eliminate Obstetric Fistula on 29th May 2024 in Namiengo District, the Assistant Commissioner, Clinical Services at the Ministry of Health, Dr. Ronnie Bahatunjire, revealed that the country is in deficit of special fistula surgeons.
We have a total of 25 specialized fistula surgeons in the country currently. But that said, it doesn't mean that we are not doing anything about raising this capacity. We have 16 health regions in the country, and we would have love to have a minimum of at least 2 fistula surgeons per health region. That would make a minimum 32. At 25, we are not doing bad, but it's still not enough. because we do not expect to have only fistula surgeries conducted at the regional referral hospitals.
Obstetric fistula is one of the most serious and tragic childbirth injuries. It is a hole between the birth canal and the bladder or the rectum, caused by prolonged obstructed labor without access to timely and high-quality medical treatment. At least 1,500 surgical operations annually are conducted in both government and private hospitals across the country, as the health experts explain the key drivers of obstetric fistula.
Speak for care. We've talked about early conception amongst women who are not of age. We've talked about challenges with skill sets that lead to what we call iatrogenic fistula. And as highlighted, iatrogenic fistula currently seems to be one of the key drivers of obstetric fistula. That's why we are seeking to do an element of enhancement amongst the skill sets of our healthcare providers.
The Assistant Commissioner Hospitals and Lower Level Health Facilities, Dr. Alex Wasomoka, noted that Buganda, Ankole and Lango region have the highest number of birth injuries, while Rwenzori and Karamoja have the least number. Dr. Wasomoka noted that the survivors continue to suffer from shame, rejection, trauma and stigma, thus need to rehabilitate the mothers.
So the surgical repair, as I've mentioned earlier, does not address in totality all the consequences, because they are psychosocial and economic recovery, which should also be attended to. So that's where the survivors rehabilitation program comes in, and we need it.
Supporting and implementing partners in the fight to end obstetric fistula had this to say.
Since last year, April to date, we have had about 337 surgeries for fistula in the West Nile region, and we have also had some repeat cases. I think that doctors can explain that, why it happens. Like
Zahara Abigaba, UBC News.
Now, Dr. Richard Mugahi from the Ministry of Health has emphasized immediate postpartum family planning to reduce maternal mortality rates. Dr. Richard Mugahi shared this at a research funding dissemination meeting by Makerere University of Public Health in Kampala. Details follow.
The discussion covered assessing family planning services at different places, focusing on how drug shops help.
But also we can use the redistribution between pharmacies through linking them to partners, drug shops. Redistribution between the drug shops through linkages to partners and alternate distribution systems.
The meeting shed light on the landscape of family planning services in Uganda. Dr. Mugahi highlighted the importance of family planning for safe motherhood, citing its role in lowering maternal mortality.
So offering a family planning method within the 24 hours. And of course there are challenges. Some of them put us under pressure. Immediately they deliver, they go even before the 24 hours elapse. But we need to evaluate them at 6 hours. So it's also a call to request mothers to stay in the facility at least for 24 hours. And we are now advocating that mothers should be counseled. It's not forced. Family planning is not forced. It is voluntary, and you are given a choice of methods where you are able to choose which method will work for you.
Nearly half of pregnancies are unintended, with a staggering 62% occurring among teenagers.
We don't want a mother to be pregnant twice in the same year. And it is possible because women are very fertile. So it is possible. We want to provide them with methods that do not enable them to get pregnant at shorter intervals.
Dr. Frederick Makumbi stressed the need for postpartum planning and empowering women to reduce unplanned pregnancies.
There's been a significant training and improvement in the number of facilities with health workers who can insert and remove implants. About 90% of the facilities were able to do that. And about 60% of the facility reported having somebody trained to insert or remove IUDs because those need specialized training. That's about 60%. So, which means we need to make sure, working with the Ministry of Health as evidence generators, present this information, work with partners and identify those gaps And then I'm sure the Ministry of Health and partners are going to work around improving the training.
The research aimed to assess facility readiness and evaluate policies for accessing family planning services.
That young people out there, some of them are sexually active. They need these services, and some of them are actually already getting them. As you heard in our discussion, when you look at the data, you know some of them are accessing them. There is still not yet a clear policy direction in terms of the very young ones and the package and approaches we should use to serve them, but they are sexually active, and when they are, we need to provide that service.
Sudat Kaye, UBC News.
Fellow countrymen and women, especially the Bazukuru, as we work towards realizing Uganda's Vision 2040, it is important that we plan based on accurate information about our people and our resources. I therefore would like to announce the 6th National Population and Housing Census that will start on the 10th of May 2024. The information from the National Population and Housing Census will support government, the private sector, cultural and religious institutions, civil society, and development partners in service delivery. It will also provide the basis for planning the provision of social services such as education, health, and transport, among many others, at the national and local levels. When data collectors or enumerators come to your home during the census, please avail yourselves and provide them with honest answers to their questions. This is in order to enable them to process the most accurate information about you, your household, institutions, and community. I therefore call upon all political, cultural, and religious leaders, private sector players, civil society, the media, and the institutions of the government to support this key national program. The successful execution of this census will influence the well-being of all Ugandans and progress the country towards the desired socio-economic transformation. I wish you all a successful census for God and my country.
Welcome to the business news. Most Ugandan manufacturers have expressed concerns regarding the implementation of the digital tax stamps. According to a report by PricewaterhouseCoopers, the DTS system has increased the cost of doing business and has diminished profitability of local manufacturers and importers. The report on the study on the implications of digital tax stamps on manufacturing sector was conducted by PwC on behalf of the Private Sector Foundation Uganda.
The business community, Uganda Revenue Authority, and various stakeholders converged in Kampala Serena Hotel to take stock of the implementation of the digital tax stamps now in its 5th year.
The digital tax stamp is made in a way that it's able to track a product from all the way, with information all the way from the factory through the value chain of the product. And with that kind of solution, you'd find that it becomes a bit more difficult for counterfeits to make their way into the market.
DTS are markings applied to goods or their packaging and contain security features and codes to prevent counterfeiting of goods and enable them to be tracked and traced with ease. Despite the implementation and enforcement of the digital tax stamps, there are gaps that manufacturers will want the Uganda Revenue Authority and Uganda National Bureau of Standards to address.
Tax stamp is high here, high relative to other markets, and we believe there is room to reduce it. And I think reduction of the cost of the stamp will also improve compliance.
We have given a series of variables, what can be done and what should be done. And the purpose of that very expensive study was so that we really come to a very nice and scientific measure of engagement with the government. Because as manufacturers, the challenges cut across.
Although DTS system has been welcomed by the licensed or legitimate manufacturers, there is a concern of increased cost of doing business, illegal stamps and improper enforcement.
URA takes 6,000 from our bottle where we get less than 300. And the profit is keeping reducing because of these other costs. Like now, I had to employ someone to put these stamps. Even if you cannot buy a machine. Like now you can see this one, there's no machine which can put this. Those who have can help me and donate one. But I had to employ more like 10 girls to put. And now that is NSSF, that is what? Pay.
In the conclusion, I had mention of the limited capability of the technology to be able to track and trace throughout the value chain. Let's study this together. If it is true, then the technology must either improve or it should be replaced. I think there is no commitment to the technology more than the results that we want from the technology.
In addition to the installation costs, manufacturers are burdened with ongoing fees for the purchase of digital stamps. There is a consensus with the sector that the fees currently associated with digital tax stamps are disproportionately high, leading to increased operational costs. Dennis Igoa for UBC News.
We've hit refresh with Castle Light. A premium new look. With the shiny silver label. An innovative cold indicator. A premium green neck label for a crisp and easy drinking beer. Fresh new look. Experience the fresh Newcastle Light.
Gear up, grab your running shoes and join the race for life. Run 42, 21 or 5 kilometers to equip Kisoro Hospital's very first ICU. Then, after the finish line, groove all night at the ultimate dance showdown with DJs and performers from Uganda and Kigali. Secure your sport at virungamountainmarathon.org and be a part of history. Save the date, June 1st, 2024 at Shaza Ground, Kisoro Town. Race for a cause. Run for life.
In our sports stories, Uganda's Olympic champion Joshua Cheptegei has revealed readiness to perform to the upcoming Olympic Games in Paris, France. Cheptegei's chance of bettering his silver and gold from last time out have been boosted by an ambassadorial role bestowed on him by phone makers Infinix. Take a look.
Cheptegei has 110 meters.
In now 80 days, the 2024 Olympics will get underway in the French capital. Uganda's main representation will be long-distance runner Joshua Cheptegei. He says he is nearly ready to battle the Ethiopian and Kenyan rivals for the first place over his favorite race, the 10,000 meters.
My dream this year is to win the 10,000 meters because that is my favorite distance, where I've won 3 world titles over the 10K. So for this year, the main real goal is to win the 10K title.
The man who holds both world records over the 5,000 and 10,000 meter distances is happy that healthy competition with Jacob Kiplimo over the past decade has made him a finer athlete.
Jacob Kiplimo actually has been involved in the previous 3 years, and it shows you that the sport is growing. And for us, what is very important is that when young people are inspired and they can be able to do the things that we do, it really means that the sport is really headed to the right direction.
This was during the occasion he was announced brand ambassador for Infinix Mobile that has launched a new Infinix Note 40 smartphone at Mbale Courtsview Hotel. The benefits to Cheptegei for his ambassadorial role will reach the youth through his foundation and the Cheptegei Junior School in Kapchora. The communities will get computers and other technological accessories.
We all know that Joshua has a foundation, that's the Joshua Cheptegei Foundation in Kapchora. And Infinix is coming up with more accessories, that is laptops. And we are going to work with Joshua to partner with his school by donating this type of technological accessories to enable his students or children that go to his school to have a better education, because we know that the world is changing and everything is all about technology.
This Infinix Note 40 Pro is tailored with state-of-the-art technology but mainly prides itself in its charging system and longevity. Sudat Kaye and John Barnes Centum, UBC News.
And that brings us to the end of UBC News Now. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Sharon Kyomugisha with Nakakoni Elizabeth on Sign Language. From the team and I, have a lovely night and stay tuned for more programming coming your way, including Behind the Headlines. Bye-bye.
UBC, inspiring Uganda.
The climate issue looms large within the 17 Sustainable Development Goals framework. Climate action and life below water feature prominently on the SDGs chart. The climate challenge is no longer confined to UN conferences or summits. The impact is now felt far and wide. East Africa, for instance, is now experiencing strong winds and heavy rains, disrupting and destroying infrastructure, human settlements and activities at an unimaginable scale.
The devastating impacts of the present crisis and protect life and property. The loss of human life, displacement of people, and destruction of property has been most profound within fragile ecosystems.
This week,